TNA fan, and welcome back to the impzonepod podcast. We're here again to talk about TNA wrestling shenanigans. Today, it's the last day, it's the final day before the AMC debut, and I want to run through my last minute thoughts, or last couple of hours worth of thoughts here just before the debut show. So I've seen a lot of positive and negative. I don't know whether, I think maybe the positive has outweighed the negative for the most part, but I have seen a bit of negativity, and I hate how toxic and maybe this is social media as well, but I hate how toxic sometimes, the whole thing is, especially towards TNA. But like, I also don't like it how toxic people are to AEW. I don't like it how toxic people are to WWE, though I can understand some of the reasons for some people being so toxic towards WWE, or not toxic per se or whatever, but having a problem perhaps with some of their other relationships and other politics and other things and other shenanigans or whatever. So I can understand some of that, but I could try to understand people being like hesitant or being worried or feeling like, oh, TNA is gonna TNA again, though, it's one of those things that, they have to think themselves, hey, well, if TNA's again, sort of thing, or does the whole thing of not doing what the fans want, where are they gonna be? Like that sort of thing. They've got to think like, well, this company's got to pull themselves out of this gutter, and again, as I say, I don't 100% agree with them thinking this way or them feeling this way, but that's the way that, unfortunately, perception is reality, no matter how much good stuff they've done or whatever. And again, some of it's people out there being deckheads trying to ruin the pudding, so to speak, or ruin the punch or whatever, so to speak. They're out there trying to whip up this negativity and whatnot, certainly, and whatnot. Or they're trying to set the bar so high or whatever that TNA can't possibly jump over it. Now, I don't usually go through talking about ticket sales, but they're very close to... well, I actually do here and there, but like I never really drive to say, get your tickets now, whatever, that much. But this is different. This is different. We have to try as hard to get as many of these tickets sold as quickly as possible right now. We've said a few times, they've had some amazing walk-ups to their events, and I do hope that they get an amazing walk-up to this event as well. Just tell your friends, tell anyone, tell everyone. I don't care. Tell them, so that even if they don't care, they're like, oh, well, maybe if my friend says something, or I know a friend of a friend or something or whatever, I'll tell them, hey, go and see this TNA thing, So yeah, at least that way, hopefully it gets out there a little bit more, and people come to the event. And I think maybe that's been the issue. It's been like people have kind of been like, I think, yeah, there's been some discussion about how the card looks or whatever else and that sort of thing. I think the card looks good. I will say, without the Leon Slater match, it is a little bit less so now, and I'm a little bit sad about that. And I think a lot of people were like hyped to see that and whatnot. In some ways, like I wasn't that hyped to see this rematch, so to speak, because it was like, oh, okay, there's nothing more on the line or whatever else or whatnot. So yeah, it's just going to be Leon winning. But again, sometimes it's about the match itself. Sometimes it's about the spectacle of seeing, that 20, 30 minute or 15 minute whatever match that they're going to have. And again, like, I feel like some of the stuff that they've got on this show, it feels like, like last show, the last episode, they didn't really have, it really felt like they didn't really have a whole lot, but it was like, what's going on here? I don't know. It was a weird show last week in some regards, but now like even without the Leon and Myron match, it feels like there's though you say, oh well, there's not that much really, but then again, you've got to take into account surprises and whatnot. So the card does feel fairly full with like, if you start saying, well, are the Hardys and Order 4 going to get 15 minutes? Are the Inspiration and Alex's brand going to get 15 minutes or thereabouts? Like, again, then the main event's got to get about 15 minutes, and then you've got everything else. So it's like, that 2 hours is going to be really, really flying by pretty quickly in many ways, with everything that's kind of on it. And again, like, that's kind of what we want, I think. I think we want to see this show being like a fast-paced show that, it's sort of TNA, total non-stop action. It's not, why would we have and like, it's not to say that you have your fast matches don't get time. Your fast matches still need time. So if Leon and whatnot, Myron were on this card, they'd need 15 minutes too, So, but I'm sure, and I think somebody said something about this, but I don't know whether it's confirmed or anything like that. But they said that now that Leon's not wrestling, like, and I think I even was like considering this, that though he's in somewhere in Europe, I think they're in England, or maybe France or Germany. I don't know where they are. I don't follow what WWE is doing or where they're doing or where specifically Leon is. But I think that they said, hey, this is a chance for them to, maybe he will appear in person. I doubt it in some ways. Maybe he can get his flight in early enough or whatever else, or maybe he doesn't have other dates after that or whatever in WWE, because again, like, he's got the Genesis just 2 days after that. It's like not that very long after that. I think you'd want to get in at least a day or two before that to settle in and be like, okay, cool, I can get a session in at the gym, I can do some media, or I can do the last little push for Genesis as well, or whatever. So again, like, I feel like they're going to do something with Leon and maybe AJ. There was a lot of discussion about, like, that was the thing that they wanted anyway. And a lot of fans wanted that anyway. I certainly do. So it just depends on, I think, WWE. And I've said this so much, but now it's like, okay, we'll find out if you're actually really going to be a proper partner this year, like in the next, well, till April, I guess, because that's when WrestleMania is, I think, in April, thereabouts, whatever it is. The Rumble's in later this month, I believe, and maybe like some people from TNA will turn up in that. Like, I could feel like you could see Leon in that, but he's obviously not winning or whatever. But if it leads to something, a match, or like, that's how you could set up Leon and AJ, maybe, like, properly. Like, you've had a couple of chances now at it, type thing. So, and obviously you kind of want to do it, seemingly. So it's like, well, and maybe they want to do it at WrestleMania, but I know that people might want to see that, and it might be a bigger thing to see it at WrestleMania or whatever else it is, or anything you can see with AJ at WrestleMania is obviously going to be bigger than it's going to be if he's doing something in TNA. But still, I feel like that's one of the biggest things that you could do with AJ in TNA, that, or challenging for the world title, basically. But like, at this point, it's like, well, realistically, if you're going to have AJ challenge for the world title, he's losing, obviously. You're not going to well, maybe you could, because you could be like, let's vacate the belt after this, then let's have a tournament or whatever, something like that, to make things more interesting or whatever in the title picture to some degree. But then again, it's like, well, and again, if you're going to get it on him in the next, like, 3 months, that's just hot potatoing the title. I don't feel like that's a good idea. I don't like, maybe again you could say the same thing with the X Division title. I would say like Leon's held it for quite a while in that position, so it's like at this point you could start to say, well, he could lose it. Now you could think about him losing it, but there's really no one for him to lose it to. He could lose it to AJ in theory, but then again it's like, well, if he loses it to AJ, then it's like, well, then AJ's going to have to lose it in like 3 months to somebody, and the only other person that's kind of there is Leon. So I would feel like that's a dumb thing to do, just to take it off of him, just to put it back on him type thing. So I don't really see that sort of happening. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, I am hopeful for something at least like video call or whatever on the Titantron with Leon. Obviously, I know, as I said, I know what I want to see him say or whatever else, but maybe you could cheese something and be like, oh, okay, we'll actually broadcast his match that he's having or had over in wherever the flub they are. I don't know where the flub they are. So yeah, we could like literally just broadcast his house show match. You know, maybe that's not a great idea, but it is at least something, or at least maybe highlights of it or something. I don't know. It depends. I don't even know who he's wrestling against. Maybe some like indie talent. I don't know. So, but whatever. You could still try to do something. And I still feel like he needs to be a part of the show because he was part of the show and he's such an integral part to TNA, especially right now. So, and then, like I say, I think it was, I think it was something where they said, we'll trade you Leon for AJ in some regards. I don't think that's a horrible trade, but I think you've got to have both. I think you could have gotten away with trading just about anybody else almost but Leon, but that's like you could have traded them saying, hey, we'll send you like 5 or 6 other guys before we send you Leon because we 1000% need Leon on this show. So you can use those guys, but we need Leon or we need AJ or whatever. So I don't know. I think because they wanted Nick Nemeth on the show, that was probably not an option, but they could have sent so many other people that are there. So they could have sent Cedric Alexander, like, I don't know. Or is he on the show? No, Elijah. Oh, okay. But yeah. No, I've also, one of the biggest criticisms I suppose I've seen is this whole idea of that they're rehashing the whole Santana run to the title. And yes, I do think that is somewhat true, but anytime you have a person that is re-challenging for a title in some form or some fashion, you're rehashing what you already did with them. You know what I mean? So, like when they had Kazarian challenge for the belt, I can't remember the first time, but then they got him to challenge for it again. That was a rehash of him challenging for it again. Plus, again, any time that any person challenges for any belt is basically a rehash of somebody else challenging for the belt. When Sting challenged for the belt, it was just a rehash of somebody else challenging for the belt. And then that was just a rehash of somebody else challenging for the belt. So to say that this is a rehash, yes, it is a rehash of him having to challenge for the belt and having to get the belt back and all this other stuff. But what is that? That is the level of investment that fans need to see. That's what fans have to see. The fans have to see, hey, we have to reinvest in this babyface. It wouldn't be anything interesting if you were like, or it would be less interesting if you're like Kazarian is just being challenged by Frankie Kazarian, you'd be like, what the flub is this? Except for the fact it's like, oh, he's called his shot or whatever else. Oh, okay, cool. But we don't really care. Like, there's not that much investment in it, and you have that distinct feeling as well. Like, if it was that way around, well, obviously Santana's winning. I mean, yes, you still, like I said this before, it's debatable to see whether it is, like, so, like, obvious to say, oh yeah, Santana's going to win anyway in some ways, but it's like, yeah, but at least there is that jeopardy of like, or that idea of like, well, now he at least needs to win or whatever else it is. It's not like just, oh well, he's going to win, there's nothing on the line for him or whatever else. There's actually a lot of stakes on the line for him if he doesn't win. And a lot of stakes on the line for TNA if he doesn't win, in my opinion, as well. So I feel like that gives the audience a lot more, a lot more to riff on and to invest in this regard. Yeah, I don't really love how, like, they have hot potato, if they're going to put the title onto Santana, that there's more hot potatoing of the title, but like that title needs to be on him at this point, like from this show onwards, absolutely. So it's like, what can you do? I don't know. But yeah. I think we've gone through everything on this card back to front, except for like the spoilers and whatnot, or the surprises. So I'm just sort of going through my thoughts, my last little thoughts about like some of the things and some of like, I don't know, like we already know that they're gonna have to defend the title. Whoever has the title has to defend it at Genesis, but we don't know who it's gonna be against. I mean, like, to me, if you're gonna say it's gonna be against AJ, then it's like, well, then it's gonna have to be like a fatal four-way at some point. That doesn't make any sense, because it's like, you've already got Kazarian, you've already got Nick Nemeth, you've already got Santana in that picture, and it's like, and again, I do feel like if you're going to do something with him, it's not going to really happen. I don't know. It's like, maybe that's why Joe Hendry's there. I don't know. Just to take a pin. I don't know. He could be in that match, or he could be a referee for that match. I don't bloody know. So it has to be between Kazarian, Santana, and Nemeth, in theory, I think. Like, that, or maybe, like, you're bringing in Obafemi or somebody like that. I don't know. That's the only other things that I can think of. Like, they said, like, Bully Ray's going to be on commentary, and people are, like, losing their minds about this. I said this, I actually talked about the fact that they announced it before, but I didn't really see too much of like people losing their minds. So I still a little bit, I guess. But yeah, people are like losing their minds thinking that he's gonna wrestle whoever, or he's gonna interfere or whatever else and all this stuff. And I said before, like, he's basically retired, dude. Like, so it's like, he's just like, I think, and I hope in some ways he's just there to commentate, because it's like, yeah, even if you are going to do something more with him, I don't feel like it's super worth it. I feel like he can't go at the level that people would want somebody to go at that level. And maybe that's the thing that you're trying to achieve. You're trying to just achieve saying, hey, we'll have him do something and this will be his retirement or whatever else it is. And we'll use as many smoke and mirrors as what we can or whatever. I don't know. But I still don't see it. I don't see the point in it. Yeah, I don't agree with like the idea at this point or whatever. So I don't know. But yeah, I just hate how like the perhaps it is the internet wrestling community, the IWC or whatever. Maybe it's just like social media in general, but it's just like, I think, and as sometimes I feel like, again, as I said through this, it's like people who are just picking holes just to pick holes or whatever. And I get like some people might be like, oh, well, they're doing that because they're AEW fans and they're trying to tear it down because, or whatever, because it's like, oh, you have that sense of, oh, what's going on here or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, obviously, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion of whatever, but it's like, just like, instead of like openly saying things or whatever, sometimes it's like, send your friend this or whatever. I don't know. I don't know whether you should post some of these things publicly or whatever. I don't know. It's tough because it is like sometimes we have these little things or whatever criticisms or whatever constructive times to say, hey, we should do this, it should be as good as possible, they should pull their finger out or whatever. Absolutely, that's a lot different than just being like, TNA is going to TNA or whatever, any of that other stuff, so that's where I'm at, like, and like I say, we don't count our chickens till they're hatched, but certainly for, I think, just about 3,000 tickets sold, thereabouts, I think. So yeah, no, it's getting there, but we certainly have to make that last little push, and hopefully we can sell even like more tickets, but I don't know whether we will. I think that some of those will be, I think as well, again, I said this a few times, where it's like TNA tends to over deliver on the actual show. People are often like, it's whatever. People are always saying, oh yeah, whatever, whatever. But then when the show happens, it's like, holy shit, they showed out and they had a really good show or whatever and all of that. So, yeah, I think, again, perhaps, people have to actually come and see the show or actually, experience it to understand. Again, like, yeah, it might look a little bit meh, but the actual show of it's actually going to be pretty good, and yeah, all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, guys, anyway, I know you guys will be ready and raring to go tomorrow night. And we'll have our last look at Genesis, obviously. I don't know whether we'll have the numbers for the viewership. Obviously, we can't track what's on the apps, I don't think, but which I wish that they would do. But yeah, like, certainly we will get the TV number, and hopefully that's really good as well. So we've got to get, if people aren't able to get their butts into the arenas, that we've got to get them tuning in to see what we've got to offer over here and that. So yeah, hopefully we will get there with that, and I hope everyone does enjoy the show, and I hope you have all enjoyed this one, and I hope you all join me again in another one.